Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday night booze up here on Claret and Booze. I'm back freshly from Tenerife, greeted by snow in the frozen hellscape that is Romford. It's bloody bitter. It's horrible. Gone from the lovely warm weather, flew back here, and had to get changed before I come out the airport. Oh, it's bleak.
My heart
Anyway.
bleeds, Gary. My heart bleeds.
It's grim. But anyway, good week. But good to be back and talking about football. And at least while I was flying yesterday, I missed the England game, so I didn't have to put up with all the agony that you did. I just had to hear the pilot say we'd lost. Oh well, there you go. So I'm joined tonight by Nick. Nick, how you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm all good. I'm looking forward to this. Be good to actually have someone to talk to on the screen. I did a live show by myself last night. That fuck is weird, isn't it? I don't mind doing the live pre-records, but I'm so used to sort of when you're live, because you're under pressure when you're live. It's good to have someone to bounce off of. So I find this much more enjoyable. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Thank you.
Yeah, good. And Grant, you're back after quite a while. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm just about recovered from last time I came on and all the abuse I got and all the grief. And so, I'm mentally prepared myself after last night.
That's good.
For a bit more. Yeah.
You got your Kevlar headphones on.
That's it.
Yeah. We got you on as the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah. Everyone's miserable, right? Let's get Grant on. We can have a clip at him. That'll do this.
Yeah, I was expecting you to have a Moyes in t-shirt on, Grant. That's what I was expecting.
I couldn't find it. It was still in the wash, mate. So
bloody hell. Too often.
So look, we ain't going to dwell on it too much, but we start off briefly talking about the World Cup. Wrap it up, put it to bed, because none of us care about it anymore. It's all over, right? But it was an interesting competition. Personally, I'm not glad we didn't win. I'd love to have won it, but at least we don't have to hark back to that time England won the World Cup in Qatar. Right, that would have ground my gears every time I said it.
Yeah,
but anyway, listen, it's been a well-run tournament. There's been some exciting football. We watched quite a few games last week in Tenerife. It was good, and the England game was good as well last week against Senegal. It seems that we tend to fall at the first difficult hurdle in most tournaments that we play in. It's just that some tournaments we get an easier route through. Like we pretty much got to the semi-final of the World Cup without playing a big side last time, and we got to the final of the Euros without playing a big side, I think, and Germany, but don't count them as a big side. But this time, the first time we hit a bump in the road, France, it was always going to be a difficult one, wasn't it? Most people's favourites. And we put up, I'll leave it to you two to talk about it, but we put up a good fight by all accounts. Go on, Nick.
We did, yeah. Before we get on to that, I'm with Dougie Montana. You've been away to Tenerife for a week. You just telling us it was 27 to 30 degrees. Where's your tan?
I don't sunbathe. Fuck that, Dougie.
Too much time in the bar.
But, I did a lot of drinking, which is why I'm not drinking tonight. This might be a booze up, but my liver needs a rest, honestly.
World Cup, what fucking World Cup? It took me a while to get into it. It was heartbreaking last night, really, but not to be. Yeah. Look, I'm not being horrible. Yes, we could have won it. We could have, if we'd have taken our chances. But me watching that game personally, it just felt like France had a few extra gears when they needed to. They could go up a few gears. They could get the goal. They got the first goal. We equalised after a fashion. And then they just went up a few gears and they did what they had to do. They got in front again. And, yeah, we were the better team on the night, but we were beaten by a better team. They had more quality where it mattered. We had a ridiculous amount of shots on goal, really. I think there was about 15. I don't know whether that includes the penalties. I don't know, but just not clinical at all. And the thing is, yes, the ref was shit. He was rubbish, but you can't blame him. If we had chances, the reason we didn't win that game was because we didn't take our chances. The referee played a part in it, but it gave us 2 penalties. I know we wanted 3, but
Yeah. How about you, Grant? 3. How did you see it, Grant?
So, if before the tournament I said to you two, we're going to play France in the quarterfinals, we're going to completely nullify Mbappe, what result do you think we would have got out of it? You'd think, well, all right, yeah, we'll take care of Mbappe, and we're going to win.
They've got more than Mbappe.
They have, but they're also missing their two best midfielders. They're missing their best striker. The defence is a makeshift defence, and we still couldn't do it.
No.
Listen, if you, there's just no, I don't know. What can you say? I'm just so used to this. My lad went to bed. He was gutted last night. I just went up and started recanting everything I can remember from Euro '88 onwards, all the disappointment. I'm like, I was like, you know what? Italian '90 was amazing. Euro '96, the last Euros, the World Cup before that. There wasn't much else in between. I'm like, and it's like we didn't qualify for a few of them and got knocked out in group stages and others. So it just. Is this team? This team is probably as good as the 2006 team. It's disappointing. We couldn't close it out on the night. I think tactically, Southgate's not great, is he? He's not. He's not. If you would, who would sack their manager in the Prem to get him?
This is what I was saying earlier on. All of those people that say Southgate in. Most of them would lose their fucking minds if he was appointed as manager of their club team.
That's true. That's true.
To be honest,
if he's not good enough for your club, why is he national team manager? You know,
if we do sack Moyes in a couple of weeks' time, I hope we get him just because I'll laugh at you lot, all you Moyes out boys. I'll just, that's kind of, that would be just absolutely perfect, wouldn't it? Just to go from the Scottish version to the English version. So.
He's just an average club manager, though, isn't he?
He's lower than average.
He hadn't managed I don't think he'd managed Premier League for 4.5 seasons. I think it was and obviously he was the under-21 manager, and then Big Fat Sam took a big fat bung, or thought he was, and then they went, "Oh, what do we do?" And Southgate was only ever the temporary appointment to see things through after the Big Fat Sam. But he's asked it, and honestly, he's done brilliantly. He's taken us to a semi-final and a final, and that's better than Bobby Robson. And from my childhood, Bobby Robson was an absolutely unbelievable manager, and it
is one of those it is turning into one of those careful what you wish for, David Moyes type scenarios, though, isn't it? Because if you look back, and let's be honest,
could happen? We won't win a tournament.
No, but hang on, let's be honest here. Let's be honest here and look at, all right, the results were great, right? We got to a final, losing semi-finalists, losing finalists for the first time in a long, long time at international level. But look at the draw in both of those competitions. We pretty much had a bye all the way through to the final and the semi-final. If you look at the opposition that we faced, I think Germany was our sternest test in both of those competitions, getting through all of those rounds until we hit a brick wall and a decent team in the semi-final and the final, respectively. And I think David Moyes. He proved. Sorry, David Moyes, Gareth Southgate. I'm mixing them up now. but he's proven that with Henderson. I thought the Henderson thing was an experiment, and he kind of put him on for one game, and it sort of worked. So he's very much like David Moyes. Like, right, okay, I've got my formula now. I'll just stick with that formula rather than just considering who we're playing next and perhaps vary it a little bit, or perhaps use someone like what's his name from Man City, Grealish, to try and unlock the door a little bit. He got 30 seconds at the end, Grealish, didn't he?
It's an absolute insult. And just to go back to Nigel, Mr. Nigel, you got positivity, and then you've got Nigel. Basically, making quarterfinal puts us in the top 8 in the world. I mean, that's a lovely trophy to have, isn't it? At the end of the day, we've got one of the best squads in the world. We're better than that. We're better than one of the top 8 in the world. We had a better squad than France, but we've got a poor tactician. And under Southgate, whenever he comes up against a good team with a good manager, we're going to lose.
I've got a stat for you on that, by the way.
I hold my hand on my heart, and I believe that.
Go on, Grant. We love stats.
England now, obviously, FIFA rankings are pretty ropey anyway, but so you can make of this what you will. But 24 times under Southgate, England have played a team ranked in the top 10 of FIFA's rankings.
Yeah, and
we've won 4 of them.
There you go.
Right. There you go. That is proven by stats. Well done.
Yes.
So,
this is.
But at the same time, he's also made a final of the Euros and a semi-final and a quarter-final of the World Cup. So
Yeah.
Maybe that does say a little bit about FIFA's rankings, but
Yeah, this is Barney McGrew. He's Moyes in. He's Southgate in. He's Trump in. He's Rishi Sunak in. He's everyone in. He loves everyone. Great point on the Guardian Football Weekly. Playing
yeah,
for England used to make good players scared of their shadow with clicks. Yeah, this is true, and
Yeah.
Neville and Carragher have confirmed that in interviews where they've said basically
Yeah.
when the England team was predominantly, Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool players, there were cliques in the squad, and no one liked each other. But we're winning about as much now as we was then. I know it's nicer. It's nicer. We're getting, there's togetherness, and I think that Southgate should probably, without being funny, Southgate should probably be credited with that. And I think that it could be considered the same as what I've said about David Moyes, where maybe Southgate has laid foundations for a tactician to come in and make the most of it. This new group that we've got together is a team now. Maybe now we can introduce someone else who can come in and give us that tactical nous to go that little bit further. So that's not saying that he's done a
same
terrible job
question
altogether.
to you though, mate. Same
Go on.
question that I asked you about Moyes, I'll ask you about Southgate. Realistically, who is going to replace him?
Who's going to replace him? Moyes for me, all day long. Yeah, I'd appoint him tomorrow. Who's going to
Moyes
replace
in.
him? Yeah, Moyes in. Look, there are a lot of people that would take that job. Like I say, I'm not being funny. You've got,
Who?
you got Tuchel at the minute. That's hovering around London, waiting for that job.
No, Tuchel's not in London because his visa got revoked by the government. He got
Well, not
sent
now.
home.
Not now. He's not. But he'd have his visa back if he was England manager, wouldn't he? Grant?
Yeah, soon get a new
I-
visa.
But
I would be surprised. Again, this is like I've obviously said to you already on Poch, on Tuchel. I would be less surprised if they took the England jobs than I would if they took the West Ham job. But I would still be very surprised if that was the next job that they wanted to go
I don't
to.
think he's going to go anywhere. I didn't think he was contracted until after the Euros. I think they'll just keep him there. I think we've got until the next tournament. Glenn Marshall, thanks very much, mate, for your donation earlier today. Do you guys want the added time to continue into the Premier League? Might stop teams wasting time. Do you know what?
I like that. I like that.
I like it. I might not like it on a midweek game under the lights when you fucking.
I only like it if we're losing though. If we're winning, I want to stick to the.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Damn right. But I think it's been refreshing, and I think it will eventually lead to teams not wasting so much time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's common sense, and this is something that should have been brought in many, many years ago. They've actually made a change that makes sense. You actually get to see. Imagine going to a game of football and seeing a full 90 minutes of football. Amazing.
I know. I mean, Barney, come on. Look, he likes seeing me unhappy. Barney likes seeing me miserable. That is all it is.
Yeah.
I've accepted that now.
So, what do you think? I mean, from the tournament. I mean, very quickly before we move on and talk about West Ham specifically.
Oh God, please don't.
Who do you want to win, and who do you think is going to win the World Cup? Grant.
I would probably say, I think Mbappe's had a really bad game. They've got 2 games left. You figure he's not going to have another one. So I would say France, but teams winning back to back is so rare. I'm almost wondering if it's going to be Croatia.
Yeah.
Whether I think they've got a better midfield. I think they'll control the midfield against Argentina. I think the Argentinians will lack ideas when they haven't got the ball. And we could see a rematch of the final. But then Morocco have got that Greece 2004 vibe about them. So, how crazy would that be? But
yeah. So again, who are you going for? Croatia?
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
All right, Nick.
Me, I think it's going to be Argentina. I've got to be honest. I do. I think Argentina have just got a little bit something different about them this year. I don't think they're the best Argentina we've seen. In fact, they're overly reliant on Messi. But you've got the fact that Messi is wrapped in cotton wool by the officials. I mean, he can fucking catch a ball and won't get a yellow card now. Not catch it, but he can handball it. But he's got the bit between his teeth. He's had, like I said earlier on before the stream, he's had criticism in previous World Cups where they've said he's not fiery enough. He's not as much of a leader. He seems to have found his inner bastard in this World Cup. He wants it. He wants it bad, and he is a great player. And like I say, with all the obvious favouritism that's going on. I would say Argentina. Who I would love to see lift the World Cup is Nikola Vlasic of Croatia.
That would be hilarious.
That's
who
I'd love to see lift the World Cup.
Yeah. Couldn't make it into a David Moyes side, but fucking hell, he's won the World Cup.
Just warm that bench, you'll come off. Yeah.
Yeah. You noticed in the 2 penalty shootouts so far, he's taken the first penalty twice.
Fucking good penalties as well.
Good penalties. Penalties.
Moyes wouldn't trust him.
He wouldn't trust him.
Yeah.
He'd have Souček down for all 5 penalties. He would.
Yeah.
So
shame about his defensive work and his lack of finishing ability.
Nick's going Argentina. Grant's going Croatia. I'm going to go for the current West Ham player, because I want to see a current West Ham player win it. I'm going to go for Morocco.
They could. I think Croatia or Morocco. You know, they're bastard teams. A pair of them.
They're pretty much at home, Morocco, right? They're the only Arab side left in it. What I don't like is their fans who whistle at the opposition whenever they've got the ball. Hate that. Can't stand it.
I don't know if they'll feel at home against the Argentinians. Have you seen how many fucking Argentinians you've had in them stadiums?
Loads.
I would say 90%.
Yeah,
well,
we have Moroccans everywhere. We've had Moroccans in London going around bibbing their routers and stuff, haven't we?
Yeah. It all depends how deep their pockets are, though, I suppose, because it can't be cheap what they're doing. There was rumours because I had Zabaleta on the commentary, and he was, and I was saying to him, "Where are all these fans not coming from?" And he went, "Honestly," he said, "it's obsessive over there." He said, "There's been people selling their cars to get tickets." You know.
Yeah. Well, they've done their country proud, haven't they? Let's be honest, and they do look amazing in defence. I mean, the game before last, where Aguerd and the other centre half went off injured. I mean, they were like a brick wall at the back. They just couldn't be broken, couldn't be breached. Be brilliant if he comes back fit, or maybe the knock ain't as bad as it seems, and he can slot straight into our team, wouldn't it? But
Aguerd's apparently he's done his hamstring, hasn't he?
No, it's not a hamstring.
Somebody was saying
it was a thigh. It was a thigh strain.
Somebody was saying that he's minimum 2 weeks, but
right, okay, all right.
He'll be back for Arsenal then, if that's the case. Hopefully.
Yeah. So moving on to West Ham, and David Moyes has survived the World Cup, and it looks like he's going to be the manager. He's going to be the manager on Boxing Day, against Nick's advice, against my advice. They've ignored us here at Claret & Booze. It's outrageous, right? I thought our opinion mattered, Nick. I thought it mattered, but it doesn't. But anyway,
wasting my fucking time.
Oh no. David Moyes has apparently visited the World Cup, and he's watched several games. He's back now, doing whatever he's doing. But what did he learn? What do you think he learned about Paqueta, Rice, Kora, Aguerd, and Vlasic in their natural habitat? You think he picks up any tips on how to deploy them, Grant?
Well, I mean, you say I don't know what he's been up to. 2 wins, 0 defeats in our mid-season, pre-season. Looking absolutely brilliant, beating the mighty Cambridge and going away to the Minecraft Stadium and beating Udinese. What more do you want?
Well, that is a winning streak. I'll give you that.
It's a winning streak. Yeah.
2 games is a streak.
Absolutely.
It is.
So
did you see that first goal? That goal we conceded against Udinese?
Yeah, it was lovely. Really
it made me want to weep.
Honestly, I just turned to me and my lad, we were watching that, and I just turned to my lad and I was just like, "Yep, nothing's changed then."
I know.
Completely dominant, had complete control of the game. All of a sudden, the ball's up the other end, and comedy goal, and we're 1-0 down, and everyone's looking at each other, going, "Oh." Like,
Downs gave the ball away.
2022, 23.
It was amazing. Downs gave the ball away. It found its way out to the winger, who seemed to casually dance down the wing and pass it inside. All of our centre halves missed it. And then Emerson did this kind of comedy attempted clearance where he kicked it into another player and it rebounded.
The best thing was their striker completely miscontrolled it, hit it off Emerson. Emerson couldn't control it, got it back, and it was back of the net. There we go. I was like,
it makes you hungry for the Emirates on Boxing Day, doesn't it?
It does.
When your luck's not in, eh?
I thought the best bit was Ben Rama making a mistake of scoring and then getting hooked straight away at half time.
Yeah. Rested.
That's all he done, Nick. That's all he done was score. It's all he done.
I know.
Yeah. Rested in.
So back to the original question. Back to the original question. What's David Moyes? What will David Moyes have learned? And will he take those lessons, any of those lessons, and deploy them in the Premier League? What do you reckon, Grant?
Well, I think you're baiting me, really. What can I say? He might have learned that Kehra's probably not very good.
Yeah.
That he might, I don't know what to do with him, but what has he learned? I don't know. He's probably got a good suntan. He's earned plenty of money from BN Sports he was in with, wasn't he? That's who he went over there with, I think.
You don't think perhaps he would have had a look at how Paqueta was deployed in the Brazil side and thought, oh, that's a bit novel.
He probably thought, you know what? If I go back and I get the dwarf to buy me Neymar and Vinny Jr., and then, well, we were in for Rafinha before, so we can probably get him in, and that Richarlison, well, he can score in the Premier League.
Grant, he didn't have all those players for Leon, mate. He didn't have all those players for Leon, and he was good for Leon. You can't just say he's only.
Are we going to have this debate about the French? But we're going to have this debate about the French league again.
But you can't just.
Right, Nick, he flopped in Milan.
So what you're saying is Paqueta is shit, and he's only good if he's got world-class players around him.
Yeah. Right. Listen.
In which case, Moyes has bought a dud, hasn't he? In which case, Moyes has bought a dud for 50 million.
No, I just think we can't compare West Ham and Brazil. I don't think that's fair.
So what's going wrong with... Look, David Moyes bought Paqueta.
Right. Also, by the way, why are Brazil out of the World Cup? They're out of the World Cup because they play Paqueta instead of Fred. Because they lost complete control of the midfield against the Croatians, who their main strength is their ability to control the ball in the midfield. They had an unfit Neymar who does no defensive work, just floats around, does his own thing, doesn't press, doesn't pick anyone up, doesn't drop back. So you have to carry Neymar.
The little interplay between Paqueta and Neymar.
So you have to carry Neymar. Everyone, but that's fine because he's a top 3 player in the world. But if you can't control the midfield, you need to then become more defensive, and therefore you've already got a luxury player, and you play Fred and Casemiro.
So what I'm saying is, going back to, I'm going to jump in on this. So what you're saying, give me your honest opinion on the type of player that Paqueta is. Tell me if you think we can use him in the West Ham team, and if we can't,
of course we can.
Okay, in what position?
Midfield.
What deep midfield? Central midfield, number 8.
I think it depends all on the opposition. I just said to you, Brazil went out of the World Cup because they didn't.
Who would you play him in midfield with?
I would play him in midfield with Rice and Downs.
Oh,
that's all right.
I think against lower teams.
I
think against lesser teams that we should be beating, we can play him with Rice and Fornals. Because we know Fornals can do the defensive work, hence why Moyes loves him. Against the better teams, I would play Rice and Downs. Then we've got the more strength. We've got the ability to chase the ball down, break the play up, and then we can use Paqueta as more of the luxury player. But we know Rice can carry the ball. We know Downs can win the ball, and he can pass the ball. Therefore, that maximises. Far too often, Paqueta ends up isolated for us.
So sort of looking ahead, we're not going to look ahead and do a fucking preview of the Arsenal game because we're just not. We're dreading that anyway. But do you expect David Moyes to start Souček?
100%.
And you're okay with that, even though you don't think he should really be in the team?
I think we need to be careful. So today, I've just seen earlier.
Yeah.
Klopp was asked about his World Cup players, and he has said that the Liverpool World Cup players are all getting a week off.
Right.
So post World Cup, they will get home and they can have a week off. Then they're returning to training. I thought it would be 2 weeks. Normally, after a tournament, you get the 2 weeks. But so I'm assuming now that's probably going to be the standard. Everyone gets a week off.
Well, yeah, but most of them are coming back already. I mean, Aguerd still there, so but Rice is already back home, isn't he? Yeah,
he gets back tonight, so you figure he's going to get a week, and then he's going to training.
Yeah.
So he hasn't got many. He hasn't got many players that are still over there. They should.
We've got more than Arsenal. I saw on Twitter earlier. I think we've got more players left in the World Cup than Arsenal. Maybe anyway.
But they have lost their star striker though to a broken ankle, whatever it is.
I
it's
do
just
think.
Aguerd and Areola, isn't it? Aguerd and Areola.
Yeah, that's all we got left. Yeah, we got France's third keeper and an injured centre back.
Yeah.
I think he'll play Souček because he's not been to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see. We'll see the usual suspects.
Yeah,
I think he'll go.
I think he'll play Souček because he wants to play Souček. I don't think there's going to be any rhyme or reason for it. I just think that's what he'll do. I don't think he's got any intention of changing anything.
Nothing's
he'll carry on. He'll play the next 3 games, to my mind, in the same way. Listen, no one would be more delighted than me if David Moyes. Even Nick would cut him some slack if he turned up at Arsenal.
I'd be embarrassed coming on here for the next show if we
tried something different. No, but if he turned up at Arsenal and tried something different,
I want us to win.
Something really innovative, you know.
Yeah,
but he ain't gonna, is he? He's just going to be so predictable, Mr. Moyes again. You know, that's what he is. But look, a winning streak is a winning streak, and that's a 2-game unbeaten run for David Moyes, and I'm sure the board have taken that into account in their decision making to keep him on to the World Cup. So we've got Fulham this week. When's our next friendly? Is that it after that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
right.
Fulham on Saturday, and then straight into Arsenal.
Yeah. So there were rumours today. I saw you responded to it on Twitter, Grant. There was a big headline, proper clickbait, said fire sale West Ham, right? And then I read the article, and they went on to speculate who it might be. And said Lanzini, well, yeah, kind of. Soufal, well, yeah, we know about that. Masuaku, he's already gone. But there was one,
right? Except his leg, he's hurt his. Has he broken his leg or he's done his knee? He's done something, hasn't he?
Who?
Masuaku.
Was he?
Yeah, he got injured in the last game before the World Cup, and they want to send him back because if they keep him, they have to buy him. So they want to send him back cross.
We're going to send him to parts then. What are we going to do?
Yeah. So how are we going to sell him?
I actually feel sorry for him because no one wants him now. Poor Arthur.
Oh, please don't let him come back. Pay him off. The one that really drew my attention, they started speculating that Ben Johnson might be on the X.
Just going to sell all our right backs.
No. That is not. That's a confirmed story. Apparently, they've ceased contract talks because they extended his contract at the end of last season. It was running out, and they triggered the extension. But they've been in negotiations to increase that contract, and apparently they've ceased those negotiations. That's not happening. It's been taken off the table, and I feel sorry for Johnson. And he's a perfect example. And I'm going to say this now, Grant, of a promising youth player that when he came into the team after the first 10 to 12 games, he did look good, didn't he? Against Liverpool, against City. In fact, the stats, the defensive stats, in terms of defenders, I don't know what the stats called, but dribbling past defenders, he was right up the top. He had amazing stats, very good defensively. Then what happened? Moyes just took him out of the team. He started using him left back, right back, centre back, right centre back. Ben Johnson has not been developed in any way under David Moyes. He's regressed. Yeah. He's gone backwards.
I think we should have that little conversation in a minute because there was a very interesting conversation on that the other day that was generated following an interview with Rooney on Toffee TV or something like that. And on Toffee TV, see, I always credited Moyes with the guy as being the guy.
Hang on, Gary. Someone's just asked this question. I did mention this last night on the show that I did. No, we'll go for it again because they didn't get many views. So we've got more people on here now. I will post a link in this one now. I'll find it now and I'll post it in the description now while Gary's talking about it.
So yeah, it was really, really interesting to hear Rooney because I always credited Moyes with being the one who helped Rooney come through and develop him and give him his big break and everything else. Rooney himself in this interview said,
Declan Rice a player he is as well,
Rooney said in this interview that no, the opposite was true. Moyes held him back. I mean, it was only out of pure desperation that he ended up using him in the end, and he absolutely hated Rooney's close friendship with Duncan Ferguson and things like that. And he said he did it time and again with young players. He seemed to resent young players and the way they've got different ways than when he was growing up all those years ago and he was finding his way in the game because he went to the school of hard knocks and all this shit, right? He had to clean the players' boots and all the stuff that players used to have to do, and they're all mollycoddled these days. So he's kind of got this built-in little bit of resentment about youngsters having it too easy and finding a too easy a route through to the first team.
Yeah.
Did Rooney say who it was that got him out of school so he didn't have to go to lessons and could train with the first team? Was that Father Christmas or the Tooth Fairy? I don't know. Which one was that got him out of that?
Well, it's first of a 3-part series for Rooney
Oh,
talking
okay.
about his early career. So he'll probably go on to that.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. But it was interesting, and their relationship got more and more frosty, and it got to the point where there was one point where, and it's even his debut, right? His debut, for instance, Moyes had no option but to bring Rooney through. He was a generational talent, and there was, it was like when Joey Cole was in our academy. Everyone knows. Everyone at Everton knew about Rooney, and he was under so much pressure to bring him in. He was almost forced at 16 into that squad, and he got taken. I can't remember what game it was, but he got taken to a game where if Moyes had given him minutes, he would have become the youngest ever Everton player. He said he didn't even give me 2 fucking minutes. He said I got nothing. He said I was fuming. And even when he made his Premier League debut against Arsenal, the goal that we can all remember, he said I completely ignored the instructions. He said I had it in my mind exactly what I'm going to do when I go on there. I'm going to get that fucking ball and I'm going to bang it in. And that is exactly what he did. So, because it's only that, every time Rooney came on, he did something magical with 10 minutes, 5 minutes. That's almost what you've got to do. And it got to the point where David Moyes could not play him. And there was one point where he saved their bacon, and this fucking cracked me up. He said, I'm running past the dugout, and David Moyes has come out to high-five me, and I've gone, fuck off, and I've just run straight past him.
So, Nick, are you seriously telling me that Wayne Rooney completely ignored the instructions from David Moyes to go and defend?
He said, I had it in my head. I had it in my head. I'm fucking getting on there. The minute it breaks for me, I'm whacking it. I'm having a pop.
No, I don't know. I think that it sounds like bitterness from Rooney. It sounds like that was an instruction from Moyes to go and pop it in the top corner. I'm sorry. Yeah. So look, I think it's an interesting discussion anyway, because there are so many players, and on Twitter. I mean, you're on Twitter as much as me, Grant. But when you look at Twitter, every time one of these young players decides to go, like the one we're going to lose, Harrison Ashby, we're going to lose to Newcastle. We lost the other guy to Leeds last year. We've lost a few others. Every time they go, they get slated by West Ham fans, going, "I don't want to fucking sign back off," But there doesn't seem to be a route through. This is a serious problem, right? As far as I see it, it does not seem to be a route through from youth team to first team right now.
No.
Cool. Right. So the England under-17 World Cup winning squad. That was on Twitter the other day. Somebody did a thread on that World Cup winning squad.
Yeah.
Do you know how many of them have made it?
Listen, I know it ain't many. Probably none.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Foden, Sancho, Smith Rowe. Sancho and Smith Rowe didn't even come on and didn't even play in the final. Gibbs White at Forest, Gay at Palace, and maybe one more. One of them basically has got a job. All the rest of them are still in football in some way, and one of them's is basically plays Sunday League football.
But I saw a study on this, Grant. I saw a study on this, and it was about.
It's so hard
it is hard.
But
I saw a study on this, and I can't remember what podcast it was, but I was talking about youth players breaking through, and it wasn't related to David Moyes or anything like that. But what they said it's incredibly difficult. Like, they were talking about players that came through the youth ranks that did make it versus ones that don't, and players that are in that environment. And he said, some of the times you see it, and the good players don't make it, but for whatever reason, because they're not, their character ain't right, the managers don't like them. And they said in almost every instance of a youth player leaving their youth academy, unless they've got unless they're very strong-willed, and you take them out of that environment and put them somewhere else, they're not going to make it, because you're changing everything that they know. There's a change in mentality. So what they're saying is they've got the best chance of making it through the club that they've been brought through, where they know the coaches and stuff like that. If you take them out, unless you are a generational talent, you're a Declan Rice, you're a Rooney, or something like that.
Again, Declan Rice, who we now would say is world class, is up there with any CDM in the world. Chelsea were like, nah, no good. West Ham were 50-50 on him staying, and they basically had a debate on whether he was going to stay or go.
But not every player that comes through is going to be world class, like a Declan.
But that's my point, though, is that it is so hard for these guys to progress, because Chelsea said, didn't spot that they had a world-class talent, and West Ham were 50-50 on whether we had a world-class talent. It's so...
But what about ones that I'm not talking about? The ones who have gone, who we didn't really seem to have much time for. You like that one that went Dean Garner, who left, and he was never going to make it, to my mind, right? He looked average at best. Harrison Ashby has always looked like a decent player to me.
Yeah,
He's always looked like a decent.
I think he's going to be a Premier League player. And the thing is,
I saw him live. I've seen him live once in the 21s, and he was awful. His attitude stunk, and it was one game. So he's
going to be. I've seen him a few times, and I'll honestly, if he doesn't, I'll eat me hat. He will do well. And what he's been offered at Newcastle, Moyes can't even promise him game time as an understudy to the two worst right backs in the fucking Premier League. He's been promised by Eddie Howe that he will go and be understudy to Kieran Trippier.
Yeah,
that's
and
what's
play well.
Him.
What do you mean play when?
Play in the cups, play stuff like that. So he'll get more game time, but but look, is Eddie Howe does use the youth players, Grant. You know he does. He does. David Moyes doesn't. He doesn't do it. And unless
I'm not disputing. I just like the notion that you're going to go to Newcastle because you play in the same position as their captain.
Not Grant. Hang on. Go back to last season, right? And Gary, you can confirm this as well. When we were kind of flailing last year because we had the European games, the league games. Our first team players that Moyes insisted on playing in every single game were fucked in. So, like for instance, a cup game against Spurs, Gary, that we went to. Right, the first team players were knackered. We had a period where we had no centre backs and we was using fullbacks to come in and play. David Moyes never once called on the youth players or anyone like that. When, do you know what? A young, hungry player would be better than a knackered and fucked first team player. They would be. Give him a chance. Well, even then, he wouldn't do it. He refused to.
Well, Ashby got a League Cup game away to Spurs, and he played pretty well that night. I was really impressed with him. Excuse me, I had to cough. I was very impressed with Ashby that night. He battled. He even got into a few arguments with some of the Spurs defenders, and he seems to have a fair bit of pace. He seems to have all the makeup of a proper wing back, and we don't have any proper wing backs. So all I'm saying is, I don't expect Ashby to be another Rice, but perhaps Ashby would be a better wing back option than maybe a Soufal or a Johnson or someone like that. It's somebody who's natural in that position. They might not turn out to be the best wing back, but unless they get a chance, unless they get a break, unless they get game time, how will you ever know? I mean, it's also easy to say. There's a comment here from Nigel about which youth player has ever left us and embarrassed us. I mean, yeah, apart from Ray, what's his name, who played for Liverpool all those years ago, that's probably absolutely right. But then, it will happen. It will happen. I mean, the closest to it at the moment is Josh Cullen, who's playing for Hull and doing very well. He went across to... We all thought that Josh Cullen looked like a decent player. He went across to Anderlecht, was it?
Yep, he went to Anderlecht.
Yeah, Anderlecht. He flourished over there.
He became their captain as well when he was over there.
Yeah, he flourished over there, did really well. A lot of people were calling for him to get a game, and he never got anywhere near the first team in the Premier League. Now he's back here flying for Hull, all right, albeit in the Championship, but might end up playing in the Premier League very soon. So that might be one that comes back to bite us in the arse. There have been others who have been kind of bit part players, players who we've let go and they've come back and made half decent Premier League players, but not top stars, But I'd rather see someone. I'm not talking about the Declan Rices of this world. I'm talking about the more normal, average West Ham players. Would we ever, for instance, see a Stevie Potts breakthrough under the current youth team system?
No.
We would see a Tony Cottee breakthrough because he was a superstar. We'd see a Joey Cole breakthrough. But would you see any of the kind of more average to good players break into the first team? You probably wouldn't, would you?
And some of those average to good players, like I say, if you listen to... Actually, I'll go back to what you were saying there about Josh Cullen, because I watched a video, I think it was on West Ham Network. That,
Burnley, not Hull. Cullen.
Yeah. It was Russ Budden went to an events do, and it was all about the Youth Academy. And he showed a video clip of them talking about, you had Tony Gale being the... Have you seen it?
Yeah, go on, carry on.
Have you seen it? Yeah, and Steve Potts, they asked Steve Potts, who has been one of the best players in the youth setup, who do you think is going to make it? And he picked out Josh Cullen. He said he had everything about him. He said the kid had the best attitude. He said he had loads of ability. He said he was fantastic. No one trained harder than him. He said even going back to sort of the likes. He said I've never seen anyone train harder than him. His attitude was spot on. I've never been under any illusion that he's not going to make it. And that is heartbreaking, really. Because whenever Josh Cullen got sent away on loan, and we did it a couple of years running, didn't we? Whenever we did, he always did well.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Wherever he went, he always did well, and we never gave him a go. And sometimes youth players, they're not going to come in and have the Rooney effect. They're not going to come in with 10 minutes at the end of a game and bang a shot in off the crossbar. Sometimes you've got to get him in. You've got to give him confidence, and you've got to watch him grow. And Declan Rice, I think it was Potts who said it on there as well. He said Declan Rice wasn't even in probably the top 5 players in the academy at that time. He said Reece Oxford was a star. But what's happened is they've shown faith in him. He's come through and he's flourished and he's got better and better. And sometimes that's what you've got to do. They're not going to be instant stars. They're not going to be.
And Deck didn't come in and make a massive impression straight away. It took him 2 or 3 errors and mistakes, and he started off at centre half, and eventually found his position in midfield. He persevered with Deck because you could see that he was looking good, and he was growing into something special. But we don't seem to do that with many players, and I think this takes me back to what someone else said, and that is, look at the Brentford model. They don't even have an academy. If you ain't producing any players, why even bother with the academy of football? If there is no route through to the first team, why just not do a Brentford and shut it all down? What do you reckon, Grant? Academy or not?
With David Moyes, I'll shut the academy down. If we're going to keep David Moyes for 10 years, fuck the academy off.
Yeah.
Personally, you might as well.
I think that the trouble is, I'd agree with you if everyone else was doing it and we weren't. But very few teams produce academy players. Look at Chelsea. Chelsea invested absolute millions.
They produce more than anyone. All these players, the likes of Gallagher, they produce more than anyone. We get their cast-offs. I mean, we've got Ekwa that we've got at the moment. They farm out. They've got more. They produce more youth players. Yeah, they don't always break into their team, but they produce more players than anyone. Good players as well. The fucking.
So what I was going to say was
Salah, De Bruyne.
They didn't. Well, neither of those two came through our academy, so that's
They did. They started out at Chelsea.
No, they didn't.
They did.
No, they did not. No.
Was it not Salah? Was it De Bruyne? Was it De Bruyne?
De Bruyne. No, De Bruyne was in Belgium.
Let me have a look.
And Salah is Egyptian.
If I'm wrong,
okay, cool. My point, right? I understand what you're saying about Chelsea, but that's what I was trying to say to you. Chelsea invested absolute millions into their academy.
Yeah.
Trying to do what everyone else has done and find the gems out of the huge bunch. Well, what their idea was, if we have more than anyone else, we'll produce more gems, because the percentage that come through is really small.
Yeah. Look at you're right. Chelsea signed Kevin De Bruyne for 9 million from Genk. You're right. Okay.
Yeah. Arsenal have just released their books for the last season, and their wage bill is really low. That's because they're going through a real purple patch of producing young players who have come through the academy, like Saka. We've got Martinez that's young. They've got Smith Rowe. All these guys who are still on low contracts, and they're maximising it now and trying to obviously push for the league.
Yeah.
No, go back. Who have they been producing over the years? They've just constantly brought players through. You look at Wenger's model was, I'll buy young, I'll steal all the best players from everyone else's academy. They changed the rules, didn't they? That if you couldn't just go out and keep poaching people out of academies. So, I think we can criticise and blame Moyes.
There's a good example. Mark Noble made it, and he was average.
Yeah, but Mark Noble wasn't just average. I mean, when he was at the top of his game, he was actually a good player.
What I mean is when he broke in, he wasn't a Joey Cole. He wasn't that type of player. He's not.
I'll tell you what, it's a different era though, and when eras are not very long time periods these days. When he broke through, wasn't it under Kirbishley or Pardew?
I can't remember.
But it was one of the two.
I think it says a lot about the character of the individual. Rice, who is released by one academy, nearly released by a second.
Yeah.
There's something in his makeup, in his personality, in his mentality that has pushed him through. And I think Mark Noble's exactly the same. So I agree. You can say, yeah, Noble was average, but there was something in him, that natural leadership, that natural self-belief that he's now trying to bring to the club from an executive point of view.
Yeah.
That's just kind of who he is. That's not, he went away to Harvard and did a course for 2 weeks, and now everyone's coming back, all of that stuff. None of that is actually about who Mark Noble is.
Yeah,
that's his character and his personality, isn't it?
So the best examples that we've seen pop up here: Carlton Cole, Declan Rice. These are people that we've plucked from other teams' youth systems.
Well, Chelsea's academy specifically.
Yeah. So it kind of again, it reinforces the idea of: is it all worth it? Is it worth having an academy if you're just producing players that are going to be, given a chance in the Championship and League One and League Two?
Somebody, it just popped across, and I think maybe 2 people have said about how much money Chelsea have made from their academy, and that's a really good point as well. City do it as well. City have now followed the Chelsea model. They're pulling all the players in, and everyone is following the Barcelona model. So they've been pulling. You pull all the best talent you can in. You make the best of what you've got and bring them into your first team. And then you flog the rest off, and you look at Southampton just brought on
that model shouldn't be allowed, though, in my opinion, where you just sign the best talent from all across Europe, and you end up with hundreds and hundreds of kids, and it turns into like a battery farm for footballers. And Chelsea, for instance, there have been instances where where young players have played their whole career pretty much at Chelsea, going out on loan every season.
Yes.
So it's all they're doing is making loan revenues and eventually making a profit when they sell the players, costing them nothing to run them. They pay for the development up front. But when you're doing it en masse like that, you're going to be, should you be allowed to run a kind of side venture like that?
Yeah, no.
Helps you with your FFP, doesn't it? You've not bought them, so you've not paid anything. There's no outgoing. So basically everything you sell comes back in. Oh,
is that what it is?
Yeah, Bellon Dawson's made a good point here, and he's basically saying these youth players are too comfortable, because we spoke about this a while back, and when we were talking about the under-23s and how non-competitive it is and how pointless it is now, we would rather go back to the model where once you got to a certain age, you went out on loan and you started playing in lower leagues and stuff like that. It is true. You would be surprised the amount of kids, 17, 18, 19, they'll get given an opportunity to go and play in Division 2, and they'll go, I'm not going Division 2. I'm playing for West Ham, and you're like, well, you're not playing for West Ham, are you? You're in the under 23s, mate. I think there is a bit of that, but like I say, that's where it comes back to players with the right character, and the likes of Josh Cullen, who we've spoken about, clearly had the right character about him. That's where players used to develop, isn't it? Even Noble, Noble went out on loan, didn't he? They
all did. Lampard, Rio, Lampard, everybody.
On loan.
Yeah, they all used to do it. It was the way through. But I mean, moving on from this, we've got a tough old. You got any comments there to go through, or are you nearly up to date?
Oh no, I'm flicking through them as you're going. Carry on.
Yeah. So we've got a game coming up in a couple of weeks against Arsenal. The injury situation, especially at the back, is looking a little bit dire right now, isn't it? I mean, Aguerd looks like he's going to be unavailable. Cresswell is out. Dawson, I can't believe we're not going to flog him. Zuma's out with a knee. It doesn't leave very many players, does it? It kind of means that Moyes is going to have to go back into the transfer market. He's going to have to sign some players.
He's not going to be able to. There's only going to be frees and loans. That's all there's going to be, Gary.
He could be gone by the time the transfer window opens as well.
I hope so. Fucking hope
so. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I know you want to talk about a potential managerial replacement, but look, I've got my view on this, but I'll ask Grant first, and that is, and no silly answers, Grant, like end of the season. How many more games do you think David Moyes has got? Say we go on a losing streak and continue losing streak.
Say we lose the next 3 games.
Yeah. How many games?
We're in the bottom 3 then. We're in the bottom 3. What do you say then?
I'd say we'll go to Brentford away in the FA Cup, win 7-0, and it'll all be up. No. If we do, if we lose 3 in a row, he'll go. He'll have to go.
Yeah.
But then do you know something? Then it makes the board look fucking idiotic because they've just wasted the best opportunity to get a new manager in with that previous 6 weeks. If all it's going to have taken is to piss 9 more points down the drain, which are likely, if you look at the games before the World Cup break compared to the ones after, they're tougher. Maybe not Leeds away, but Leeds are no mugs. But Arsenal, it's going to take a miracle for David Moyes to go away and do something he's never done before at any club. Okay, that's you know, and he hasn't done it before, Grant.
I think, Arsenal,
and then
we might be all right with Arsenal. Who's going to be playing?
But then
Arsenal could be having a shoestring side.
Mate, we couldn't beat the fucking Blackburn B team, mate.
Listen. I have never seen a penalty hit the underside of the bar and come out when it's not your season. Honestly, that was heartbreaking. That was.
Are you saying we were unlucky?
And also, we were beating Blackburn's B team. It's when they brought the A team on. That's when we struggled, and then the penalty just went a bit awry. But
and the player that David Moyes don't think is good enough kind of came on and was it Diaz? He looks.
I mean, nobody else thinks he's good enough either, mate. So
he looked half decent, didn't he? To me,
we'll see.
I reckon
he turned your mate inside. He turned your mate Ben Johnson inside out. That's Moyes' fault because Moyes isn't developing him. So
Moyes has lost. Basically, Johnson's lost his equilibrium. He don't know where he is now. He's right back, left back, fucking centre back. He don't know where he is. So he gets all caught out of position.
I heard Ben Johnson didn't like his dinner tonight, but that was Moyes' fault because obviously,
it was his fault.
Yeah, Moyes should have a word with Johnson's mum and get a better meal done.
I'm going to tell you something now. I'm going to say, tell me something positive about David Moyes from this season, Grant. Go on, give me a positive. Give me something good that he's done this season, this fucking season, without the farmers that we've beat in the Europa fucking Conference League.
I mean, he's not stripped off naked and run on the pitch. I mean, what's
he done? I mean, post-match press conferences, verbally cupping his ear to the fans. He's proper going down the Sam Allardyce route, isn't he? He is. Ooh,
yeah. You know what? He does. I think we should bring back hanging because I don't think life in prison is good enough for him. I
wouldn't waste a rope on him. I wouldn't.
Fair enough.
Anyway, Boxing Day, we are going to lose that away to Arsenal. We're going to get mullered. You're going to that next, so you'll be nice and happy. And then at home to Brentford. Now
it's going to be tough. Friday night, not on TV, 7:45. How rude! Not on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. And then, so the day when Moyes is going to actually lose his job will be late in the evening on the 4th of January. We're away to Leeds.
Train strikes. We're going to old Marsh. He'll be running down, flicking his fingers down the touchline. He'll be giving a touch.
Well, no. He'll probably be fired at half time by Sullivan or something like that. Let's hope so. Anyway, so fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's hope that. So, So Grant. And again, they're two opposite views. Here, I'll ask Nick, last Grant. I mean, I kind of know what I expect. I expect 3 straight defeats. I think Nick, you expect that as well. Grant, you're saying if we get 3,
I expect 2, and I think 2 should be enough.
I expect 3. I don't think we're going to Leeds and winning. I think they're scoring a lot of goals, and we're letting a lot of goals in at the moment. So I can't see anything changing in terms of formation. I'd be delighted if something did happen. I can't see Scamacca suddenly coming back to life. I looked at his body language in the Udinese game. Did
you notice by the way
he played?
Did you notice he's gone from long sleeve to short sleeves? He's clearly decided his luck's not in. He looks like, I put this on Twitter yesterday, I think he's been possessed by the spirit of Ian Dowie because, my goodness, he is awful. Against Cambridge and against Udinese, I'd like to think I'd have done about as poorly as he's done. He was shocking. And you cannot blame Moyes on. Well, you can because you blame him for everything. You can.
I think you can blame Moyes on for the way he's been deployed.
Yes, you can.
I think playing him up in the Antonio role and expecting him to batter defenders,
to simulate Antonio,
is not
do the opposite of what he was doing.
Funny because Antonio came on and scored. I think he scored in both games. So.
Grant, right? Listen. I know that David Moyes didn't buy Haller, but when you walk into a job, you've got to look after the existing assets. The first job when he came in, the first game, I think it was Bournemouth. Wait a minute, it was Bournemouth. We had Antonio and Haller up front. We won 4-1. And then beyond that, I think Antonio got injured And then by that point, by the time he came back, Moyes had
that was
already
Moyes' fault as well.
No, but it already
That was
started
Moyes'
implementing his
fault.
master plan. We never saw it again, though. We never saw it again. But then wait a minute. He saw, obviously, didn't work with Haller. Haller can't play in that role. He can't. We're seeing
Haller's a 10. I completely agree. Haller cannot play in that role. As a 9. He was a 10. That's what he was at Frankfurt.
But he's very similar to Scamacca. He's very similar. Moyes has gone out and spent 40 million on a player that is very similar. He is. I
disagree because Haller played as a 10 with I think he was either Serbian or Croatian lad that was the 9. He went, the other lad goes to Real Madrid for 70 million and we get Haller for 40.
I think
it didn't work out. And I completely agree. We played him in the wrong position. You cannot take a player who plays a certain way.
And you can't play Scamacca as a lone striker with no one around him because he'll be shit.
When Moyes
he played as a lone striker at Sassuolo.
No, he had Raspadori close to him, up and around him all the time.
He's not a striker.
He had him up and around him. They played 2 close together.
Okay, and who's doing fantastically for Napoli in both Serie A and in the Champions League this season?
Yeah, Raspadori.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
When Moyes eventually departs,
so you're saying Moyes bought the wrong player again? So you're saying again that's a criticism of Moyes. You're saying he's bought the wrong player. So you're saying he spent 50 million on a dud from Leon, and now you're saying he spent 40 million on. So he's wasted 90 million of our money, Grant. That's what you're saying.
Eventually, when Moyes leaves the building and people stop being loyal to him, people like Grant will say and admit that David Moyes is the greatest ever depreciator of talent. He depreciates assets faster than anyone in history. I mean, he's turned he has turned Paqueta from a £50 million attacking midfielder playing for Leon worth 30 bob now.
Right.
Yeah.
We know that the Premier League is so hard for players to adapt to. So Paqueta has played half a season. He's not even played that because he's been injured and he missed some games. He needs time. We'll see if he can adapt. But let's not go off what he did in a Mickey Mouse league in France.
Vlasic?
Because that's what it is. What's Vlasic done?
He's doing very well over playing.
He's doing very well, mate. They're playing him in his normal position. He's playing very well. Listen, and Grant, they're going to activate the 15 million clause that we put in the contract.
Because they're getting a bargain.
And then do you know what they're going to do? They're going to sell him in the summer for 40 million. That's what they're going to do.
And then he'll sell him where?
What do you mean sell him where?
Because if he comes back to the Premier League, he'll flop like he has both times.
Because he's been played once in the number 10.
He's not a winger, Grant. He's not a winger. He's definitely not a left winger, is he?
On the winger. Why don't we play Scamacca out on the wing?
Well, because he's not a winger. So
I give Moyes ideas.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Honestly, I think. Listen, I think. I don't know if you're just trying to. This is a wind up or what. But if we are now getting to the point where we are using Vlasic as Moyes out ammo.
Moyes bought Vlasic for 25 million.
Vlasic is pony. He bought him because he couldn't get Lingard. He panicked and we had to buy somebody. And we got him.
Is that an excuse? I panicked and I bought Vlasic. He spent 25 million.
You know what I think of that window.
On a central attacking midfielder to play on the left wing. Then he went,
have I not been clear that I thought that summer was absolutely shocking business?
So what has Moyes done well in terms of money? With money he spent just recently.
Right.
Come on. What's he done well? Downs for 10 million.
What's he done well?
Dawson for 2 million.
What's he done well? Where did we get to last year?
He's a wheeler dealer.
Where did we get to last year? We've gone 6th, 7th, and we got to a European semi-final. Me and you weren't even born the last time we did it.
Where's the
we weren't even born the last
trophy. Why are we celebrating a 6 and 7
Where is the trophy? I wasn't even born the last time we won a trophy.
6 and 7.
I wasn't born.
Woo-hoo. Honestly, I'm glad we got up.
We don't win things, Nick. We don't win things. So stop acting like. Honestly, you've gone so Spursy on this. It's ridiculous. This is the stuff that we took the mickey out of Spurs fans for. They got a little bit of success, and then they go crazy.
Because they celebrate things like a 6 and 7. Have you got a key ring with 6 and 7 place on it? Fuck me. It's 6 and 7th place.
When did we last do it?
All right. Anyway, look, let's move on. I agree to disagree.
I think there's another topic that I think we can all agree on now. Now we've had a little argument, which was very, very, very good. Right.
It's very good. Thank you, Grant.
Yeah. This is
Vlasic is still in the World Cup, sat on the bench for Croatia.
He ain't on the bench. He's a first-team player.
He's going to come on.
No, he's not. No, he wasn't.
He is.
Right, go back.
He started the first game.
What's he do? Yeah, what did he do against Brazil?
He started the first game, then he got injured, and he came on as a substitute in the second game.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, look. Vlasic aside, if you play a player in the right position, I think they tend to have better chance of success. There's one play that I've got to bring up because this is just an absolute. This is driving me mad. Maxwell Cornet. This bloke is never gonna be fit. This Maxwell
he's a fucking melted ice cream. That's what he is. That's what we've bought. Honestly,
known injury history, and this is his reputation that he doesn't play unless he feels he's 100% perfect.
Absolutely right. Yeah. So David Moyes thought I'll have some of that, and he's bought him in. He's bought him in for I don't know how many millions he paid for him, but he's pulling the same
17.5. We got his release clause.
Yeah, he's playing the same stroke, pulling the same strokes with us as he did for Burnley before. You know, this guy is he's diabolical. He's going to come back. He's going to come back probably. Might get a game against Arsenal. He'll hobble off towards the end. We won't see him for another couple of months. There should be a clause in these players' contracts, shouldn't there?
Yes.
You should have to make yourself available.
But the thing is, it's like I think that's the only thing that I would like about Sean Dyche coming in because I think he'd beat shit out of him. No. Apparently, no. Have you heard the story? Have you not heard the story? No, I don't want Dyche. I don't want him.
No,
I was making a joke because apparently Sean Dyche does feel like Maxwell Cornet screwed him over. He was never available for him when they were struggling that season.
Yeah,
he does not like Cornet.
17.5 million quid we wasted on him.
Yeah.
That is one. I mean, that is professional money wasted on it. That is amazing. Right. Anyway, look on a happier note for me and you, Nick. Anyway,
it's not listening to a married couple argue.
When the next few games are over, David Moyes exits the building. We've discussed many managers already, but I know this one is one of your favourites. And I just pronounce it Ange
Postecoglou.
Yeah, go on then.
Right, okay. I'm going to convince you all, right? And now I knew nothing about this guy. I didn't because I don't follow Scottish football and I don't know anything about Australians in football either. Now, to give you a little bit of insight into Ange Postecoglou, he's 57 years old. Okay, he did manage in the Australian League. He won back-to-back league championships with Brisbane Roar. So I'm going to get through this. I'm going to talk about him. Then he managed the national team. He got them to the World Cup in 2014. Following that, in 2015, he led Australia to their first Asian League title, the Asian Cup. And then after that, he had a spell in Japan because he's a type of guy he likes to experience different things. His main goal has always been to get to the top. But he went to Japan, had a spell in the J League, and he led Yokohama F Marinos, that top team that we all know so well, to their first league title in 15 years. And then obviously he went to Celtic with a revitalised Rangers that have kind of given the Scottish League a little bit more interest now than what it had before because there's two fighting for the title. He came in and he won the league in his first attempt. Now Tom Rogic, who is a player that played under both Rodgers and Postecoglou at Celtic, I think he's moved on from there now. He said the similarities between the two are crazy. The football ethos, the intelligence, the positivity, the charisma, and the intensity that is expected of the players in training. He said it is unbelievably similar. The guy is unbelievable. When he went into Celtic, they went mad. There were protests. They're like, you're bringing a fucking Australian in. What do they know about football? And he said in an interview, this was always my problem. He said, I've always wanted to come into the European game, but everyone's always been overlooking me because of my background. Celtic gave him a chance. They went mad. I don't think it started particularly well. The first few games, because of the way that he plays, didn't go very well. And he just stuck at it. The upshot is they absolutely adore him now. They refer to him as Big Ange. And the way that he plays in a 4-3-3 with dynamic central midfielders. The wingers, they are wide wingers. He plays with wingers and the centre forward. There's always one of the central midfielders getting up supporting the attacker. The fullbacks are encouraged to get up the pitch and underlap, which is something different. They sort of get up and they compress the field of play. It is all about dominating the game. He's entirely about dominating and entertaining the game. And I shit you not, it's goosebump stuff. Go and watch some of the interviews on this guy. Right, even when prior to
they give a trophy for good interviews now. Well, let's get him in.
Prior to the Real Madrid game, the press conference, obviously the Celtic fans were going mental. They were kind of, they were getting a bit excited, and he was asked a question to say, don't you think you should lower their expectations a little bit? They're going to get their hearts broken. And he went, "What? You want me to burst their bubble?" He went, "No, I'm not that guy." He said, "These guys, they go to work, they work hard, they've got problems in their own lives as well." He said, "What they want from football," he said, they want hope, they want to be entertained." And he said, "That is what I think football is all about. It's entertainment." He said, "They're going to bounce into this stadium, and hopefully, I'm going to send them bouncing out again." And he said, and in another interview, he talks about his football ethos, and it is all about attacking, controlling the game, and entertaining. He believes that the fans are the most important thing. He said, "I want to entertain these fans. I want them to love watching this team." He said, "I want them to be proud of watching this team." And honestly, some of the interviews, the way he talks, his hairs stand up on the back of your neck. It is so different to what we've heard before. He's honestly, for now, after it was actually Gio from Hamish Chat who told me to go and have a look at him, to do a little bit of research on him. And fuck me, he's impressive. He's so impressive that when this is the only thing that thinks that we might not get him if we're in that situation. When Brighton lost Potter, he was top of their list, and they tried everything to get him. But he said he wanted to finish the season at Celtic. That's what he said. They couldn't get him, so they went in a different direction. Now, if Brighton have got their eye on him, he ain't going to be bad, is he? The other thing that he does as well, he doesn't come with a massive entourage. So in an interview that he does, he says, "I just like to work with new people." He said, "And I like to basically get new people working my way." He said, "I like to influence them and prove to them what I like." He said, "So I don't need to have my coach with me, my this, that, the other, blah, blah, blah." He said, "Wherever I've been, I've done something different." When he went to work in Japan and he won a title over there, he learnt a lot over there. He learnt a lot about the league. And when he came back to Celtic, he's bought, I think, 3 or 4 Japanese players. And they are doing amazing things for him over there. So, listen, wherever this guy has gone, you can sneer at the levels, but wherever he's gone, he's won things. He's won things in Australia. He's won things for the national team. He's won things in Scotland now. And he's highly regarded. And, the type of football I would love to fucking see. And wouldn't you like to hear a manager that spoke like that as well? And he has got a bit of an infectious way about him, I will say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, it sounds like exactly the sort of manager you'd want managing your club. Somebody whose heart and soul is about entertainment.
Yeah,
because that is what West Ham's all about. At the end of the day, it's what West Ham has always been about. Beating the best teams on our day, and and playing an attractive brand of football. We've had far too many managers now where the brand of football just hasn't mattered, and I think it should matter.
Yeah, I know.
What do you reckon, Grant?
Just say, for instance, Grant. Let's not because I know obviously you're kind of, you don't want to be disrespectful to Moyes, so you're not choosing someone over Moyes at this stage. Just say Moyes is gone. Managers are available at that point. What would you? Who would you like to come in, and what type of football would you like to see?
I would be, if we're going to get rid of Moyes, no problem. But if we get rid of a proven Premier League manager, I would be concerned about going for a manager who's proven in the A-League, where Daniel Sturridge was playing, may still be playing, but certainly was still playing last season. So, that's the standard. That's not knocking Big Ange. That's just saying that's one level. The Japanese league, well, if you look at their team that's just done fairly well at the World Cup, the majority of them play in the Bundesliga, and then the rest play for him. And then there's Minamino and players like that. There's a couple in the Premier League. The guy at Arsenal,
They
the
were a
right
good
back.
team. I like Japan. I like the way they play.
Yeah. So not the greatest standard, but fair enough. He's now in a 2-horse league where one of the horses just pulled up lane, so they shot the manager.
Okay, so you're discrediting Postecoglou because of where he's managed. So
let me finish.
Well, that's what you do,
right? Oh, Nick, let me finish, mate. Right? I'm just pointing out facts. Everyone
thought, a manager that's managed in the Premier League for 25 years and won fuck all. It's much better to take a chance, to not take
Nick,
a chance.
if you wanted to answer me, you answer for me. Don't, honestly, let me finish or answer for me.
Go on.
Right.
But I'm just who would you like? Who would you like to come in? I didn't ask you to sort of basically say, I don't want this manager because he ain't managed in the Premier League before.
I'm trying to say I would be concerned that you would take a chance on somebody like that. He's the highest league he is in is the one he's in now. The previous golden boy from that league had an unbeaten season, came in and turned out couldn't actually manage and was a vibes guy. Yeah. And as soon as his coach, who knew anything about football, left, he was done. So that would be scary to me. That could go very wrong, and then we'd have to hit the reset button and go again.
Who would you like then? Tony Pulis?
To me, there are no managers available at our level that I would.
No one's better than Moyes. There's no one better than Moyes out there available
that we can get. I don't. Who? I just don't see who it is.
Thomas.
It's not Poch and it's not Tuchel. Frank
Pochettino ain't better than
Frank
Moyes.
Ain't better than Moyes.
Right.
Pochettino.
I just said that are available at our level.
Available.
That ain't Poch.
What's our level?
Where is Pochettino going to go? But if Pochettino
Champions League,
where? Which club?
I have no idea. But he turned Nice down and he turned Aston Villa down. And Aston Villa have got way more money than we've got and have pot committed way more than we are.
Yeah.
And he was like, no thanks, I'm all good. So if that's, I don't think, and you know my opinion on Poch. I don't think much Poch at all. I think he's a loser. But
you think Moyes is a better?
What do you think of Moyes then?
If we can get Poch, then cool. But I don't think we can. I don't think we can get Tuchel. Thomas Frank, he seems to have done two seasons in the Premier League.
Would you have taken Arteta with no management experience at all, like Arsenal did?
Oh, he had an amazing interview, so Arsenal flopped all over him. No, I wouldn't have taken him.
You wouldn't have taken him? Yeah.
I don't think so, no. I don't think I would have. But he has history at the club.
Sometimes it's about taking a gamble. Sometimes it's about taking a gamble, and a brave club that takes a gamble. And I think Arsenal were brave to take Arteta, and not only to take him, but to stick with him as well. They must have seen something there.
But they nearly sacked him as well, and their fans hated him. But that's what we do.
Yeah.
We hate, and then we love, and then it takes 3 good results and everything's rosy again, and then we take 2 bad results, and then we're mad against him. I
do get the caution.
I know Moyes is going. I know Moyes is going.
I do get that.
I just worry we're going to go backwards.
Do you know where I relate? Where I think what you're saying has merit is because of the situation that David Moyes would ultimately be leaving us in after the next 3 games if we don't win them, which will be 18 games on 14 points. At that point, we probably can't take a fucking risk. And we probably do need to go out and get someone.
I will go for Dyche. If we sack him in 3 games' time, it's Dyche. It is. Because that's what they'll do. They'll go safe and they'll go cheap, available, safe.
I would take Dyche over Moyes now. I would. But I don't want Dyche. But I would take him over. I'd take him over Moyes now.
We would go back round the loop, though, wouldn't we? If it ended up being Dyche or someone like that, it'd be the same loop. We would get pissed off with Dyche. Right.
Yeah.
I just want to see. I just saw the signings we made in the summer as being a kind of new era for West Ham. We're signing some players, and so it means a change of style. I didn't expect for 1 minute, right? Call me naive. I didn't expect for 1 minute that Moyes would sign all those players and play the same bloody way.
No.
And that's what's disappointing me. That is what's disappointing
it's like
me.
he just thought
It's
he could
showing
have
him
the
a
same
complete lack of
ethos,
flexibility.
but sprinkle in some players that can pass with a load of players that can't pass, and that will make us a passing team.
Yeah.
So I think all right, we can say what we like, but if we'd had a fit Aguerd, this would have all been different because
We didn't have him last year. We didn't have him last
but
year.
what he brings to what he'll bring to the side, what we've seen, what he can do in pre-season, what we've seen him do at the World Cup for Morocco is an upgrade on what we've got in the back.
He better be some player. I'll tell you what, if he's going to turn this around, Grant. We've taken a start in Germany. We've taken a start in Germany centre back and made him look shit.
But he's not the starting Germany centre back, and that's the problem. And the German defence, he started at right back and got dropped.
1 minute.
You're opening the phone line.
I've done it. I've done it.
Defence was a problem for the Germans. Yeah. That's one of the main issues.
Hello, Gary.
Hello, mate. How are you, Nick? All right?
I'm very well. Well, I've not done this role. Can you both hear him? Can you both hear him?
Yeah, I can hear Gary, yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Gary,
how you doing, Gary?
Nice to talk to you, mate.
Yeah, hello, Gal. Are you all right, mate?
Yeah, all right. Not bad. Not bad. Bit depressed to be back.
Also your guest, well, I've seen on your show before. Yeah, Grant. Yeah, I've been listening to this with some interest, actually. It's very strange, you know, after the England game last night, you hear supporters about Southgate, and it's a not similar situation, but it's not too that dissimilar. But the funny thing is, Southgate, for all his qualities, has got the same bad traits that Moyes has, mainly by substitutions, and also can be a little bit defensive sometimes. Probably because as players, they both were central defenders.
Yes.
The trouble is, I was going to say to Grant, it's a very tricky situation we're in because obviously the next 3 games, I don't know what people's expectations is. It doesn't sound like anyone gives us a hell of a chance at anything at Arsenal. Well, no, you never know. But the Brentford and Leeds games, it's a bit, I don't quite get my head around it. They've given them a target of 5 points. If this is true, what I've heard, you know, you hear stuff on YouTube all the time, but 5 points is, that's really got to be looking at what? A point at Arsenal, point at Leeds, beat Brentford. It's not impossible, but it's the way we're playing before the break. All my question is to Grant is, and obviously I can see some of Grant's points. The previous 2 seasons to what we had previously has been very good. But the trouble is, how did you go about changing it? Because obviously this has been going on. I mean, we said in the last time I spoke to you, lads, the last decent performance in the Premier League was Liverpool last November. We had the international break, and since then it's never been right. So I don't know what happened after that. Something's happened. But
we lost O'Connor. That's what happened. We lost the progressive passing. We never recovered from losing O'Connor, and then we lost Zuma a little bit later. In December, we lost Zuma against Chelsea, and we lost. Yeah. And then things started to go and come unstuck. At the same time, we did make a European semi-final.
I'll tell you, he didn't go out and rectify it in January, though, did he, Grant?
No, poor. But you know, I was incredibly critical of him for that.
Yeah.
But allegedly, that's because we couldn't get Aguerd in January, and we knew we had to wait for Aguerd. But
the thing is, it's a very fine line, football, between success and failure. You see the game last night. I mean, I watched it, and on another day, with another referee, we win that game last night. And the parallel I'm trying to make is, Moyes' whole future could rest on Aguerd, you know, because if he's available, well, obviously he's the one he's built all his plans around, and obviously he's been injured, which is not Moyes' fault. But I just don't quite see. Yeah, I just don't quite see what he's going to do to change it around. And we're all guessing here, aren't we? Let's face it. Every single West Ham YouTube show, we're all guessing here. We don't quite know how much of just room he has lost.
No, we don't. We don't.
Do we?
And I don't know. I know Aguerd will be a fantastic. We've seen Aguerd now, but he's top quality, right? But Aguerd by himself will not turn that defence around. We're struggling left back, right back, left wing back, right wing back. We're struggling if we play a back 3 to get 2 other centre halves to play alongside him. Even in a back 4 to find one reliable centre half to play alongside him. Who's it going to be at the moment, right? So Aguerd.
Do you know what a key indicator is, though, of you know, going back to what you said about as he lost the dressing room, going back to when Pellegrini was here, we weren't just kind of we were 17th. We weren't in the bottom three. We were 17th. But what we was bottom of was things like running stats, things that detail effort of players.
We are now.
We are now. And obviously, when Moyes came in, it was all about if you don't run, you don't play. We've reverted back; it's gone full circle. The effort levels, and it is reflective, and it's reflected in the league. You know, if you don't run, you don't win. And we are, and that says to me that the team ain't working for him.
Yeah, Nick, can I just say two things? One of them, we could do a lot worse in the transfer window. We've got a girl who's a Moroccan. I've been really impressed with Morocco defensively.
Yeah,
There's
very
a couple
good.
of players there I really wouldn't mind. You know, you've got a Gerd, you know, he could, I wonder if he could act as a go-between. I mean, Amarat in midfield, I mean,
good.
we're talking about, we're talking about losing Declan Rice, I tell you what.
What more than Hakimi? It only cost about 50, 60 million. He's decent.
Yeah, there's a couple of really good, we've got some very good, I mean, obviously, the striker would be linked in the last 2 years. He's scored the winning goal the other night. But the other thing I was going to say, going back to the dressing room, I would have thought that if Moyes had lost the dressing room, I would have thought surely the board would have spoken to one or two of the key players. And if he had lost it, and they said to him, look, you know, we really got no faith in the manager anymore, I don't know, would they have still stuck with him? This is the bit I don't quite understand. Surely there must be some dialogue between the players and the ball. They must have said something like Declan Rice or, you know, what's going on.
Yeah, I would like to think so. But do you know what? I think you've seen from Declan Rice where he's come out after the, after England have gone out and he's back in, unsurprisingly, back in an England manager. He's one of the first names on the team sheet. He's not going to knock back Southgate, is he?
No.
But I think, I just think that David Moyes is good for Declan Rice at West Ham. I do believe that because David Moyes allows Declan Rice to probably be a little bit more than maybe what he should be. If you look at the way that England use Declan Rice, which is a defensive midfield shield, and I'm going to probably sort of go back on everything I've been saying for the last year now, and I think that maybe Souček has suffered at the hands of what we've allowed Declan Rice to do. However, I think that Declan Rice has been great for us. Wherever we play him, he's been great. But maybe, we've kind of allowed him to, I don't know, inflate his value by
dictate how he's going to be deployed.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, no one player is bigger than a club end of the day.
No, and now it's back to the wall. Now it's about survival, Gary. Now it's about survival, and we know Declan Rice is going in the summer. I don't really care whether Declan Rice is happy or not. We've got to deploy him to what's best for the team, right?
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't want to leave us getting relegated, I'm sure.
Of course he wouldn't. Of course he wouldn't.
No. I'll tell you the other thing as well. Scamacca. Now, obviously he's not been in the World Cup. He's rested, which so is Souček, which is good. They've had a good break. But the thing is, when he was doing very well in Italy, Scamacca, he had the what's the lad he played with in that team?
Raspadori.
Yeah, you would have thought maybe, I don't know what he would have cost, but maybe to got him as well.
To have had them two rather than Paqueta and Scamacca.
Yeah. Well, no, obviously he's going to play, but you've got to play Scamacca.
No. What I mean is buy them as a pair, as opposed to buying Scamacca, and they're a proven partnership, aren't they?
Because Napoli's not even bought him; he's on loan with an option to buy.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I said to you the other week, Nick, if and when Rice does go, I don't know what the value of Rice is going to be in the summer. Probably going to
80, 70.
Well, tops, I think.
I said to you before, I would seriously think about saying to Chelsea, if you want Rice, give us Roger
and Gallagher.
Yeah,
that's what I would prefer, because I think, like you're saying there,
they're more type of players, aren't they?
Well, yeah.
You can imagine.
And what concerns me is David Moyes with money. I don't think he's good at spending money. So if you look at how we've just blown 180 million, what the fucking hell is 80 million going to do? I would rather just get two good players in exchange. I would.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's what I'd prefer.
Doesn't matter what manager's there.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what manager's there. End of the day, Rice. If Moyes goes in 3 games or 4 games or whatever, he's got to put another manager in. If Rice is adamant he's going to leave in the summer, then obviously we know Chelsea have been linked with him. Then obviously that could be an idea, because I think with Gallagher and Brozier, I just think Brozier would have been a better fit for us than Scamacca, in all honesty. I think this player with Paqueta, because they haven't played in the Premier League. And I watched Paqueta in the World Cup quite closely. I wouldn't say he's a luxury player, but I would say it's a strange sort of midfield player.
Dougie's got a question for you, Dougie Montana's got a question for you in the chat. He said, ask Watford how you would play Paqueta.
Well, I said to you before the World Cup started, when he plays for Brazil, he plays in a free.
Yep.
He played, and I heard that on heard it on the radio as well. Some international reporter who deals with the foreign leagues, particularly where he comes from, and he plays in a free. Now we can do that. We can do Rice, Paqueta,
Yes, we can.
Downs, or Souček. You can do that, and then you just play Skamaka up front. You've got Bowen, Antonio, Ben Rama. It'll take your pick. You know, you want to play alongside them. But I don't think it's funny for Paqueta. I don't know what you want to see. You can all get caught up the hype sometimes. I watched him. Obviously he's a brilliant player, but would you say he's better than Payet?
You know what? In the last game,
different type of player. Different type of player, though.
Yeah, he's nothing like Payet.
Payet could win a game on his own, Nick.
Yeah, but he's what he is. How I see Paqueta. When we brought Paqueta in, I didn't know much about him. I just assumed he was going to be that talisman, that player who could just pick a ball up, dance around players and bang a ball in from 25 yards. He's not that. But what he is, if you play him in the right system, he's a master craftsman. He's a master creator. He's a creative hub in the middle of your team. He is. If you play him in the right system, he can find a pass, you know. And I think I said this on a previous show that I did last week. And I said, if you watch the way that he does play for Brazil, when they played against the team they battered, I think it was Korea, a lot of what Paqueta does is he moves the ball quickly. And that's because he scans like Rice does, because and he can see a pass. He's got Brazil are making runs beyond him. We've seen quite a lot at West Ham where he ponders on the ball when he gets stuck, but that's because there's no passes on. So he ain't just going to pass it into no man's land. He likes to move the ball quickly, but I don't think in the current way that we play, and it's got nothing to do with world-class players. It could be fucking Tony Gale running down the wing. As long as he's making a run, Paqueta will find him, you know, or he'll try and find him.
Plus also, these players don't always settle in. Sometimes you can take, I think the Mancini, the Italian manager, said about Skamaka, he's not going to do it overnight. These players take a while to bed in. And we haven't got, one thing we haven't got time.
Not now.
We haven't got time. And, you know, and I just think really with West Ham now, we've just got to I don't know, with Moyes. Do you know what? The strange thing is, when I talk about Paqueta, do you remember the Lyon game last year? We played them the home and away in the quarterfinals. Do you remember, lads? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
What a great game. But Grant, Gary, you, Nick,
I don't remember him.
Did Paqueta stand out for you in
I don't remember him.
I remember him.
No, I don't remember him at all. And I'll tell you what, Gary, I know what you're knocking at here, right? Because I watched him for Brazil, and I mentioned this to Nick on WhatsApp earlier, right? I watched him for Brazil the other night, and I was sort of watching him, and I was thinking, does he even suit the Premier League?
It's not the Premier League, though, is it?
No, but I just don't know whether he does. I don't know whether he can cope with, you know, the fast pace, the being hassled. You know, when he the other night he got the ball for Brazil, he dwelt on it, and someone come up from behind and just took the ball off him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll tell you another thing. If you went and bought a couple of them Morocco players, for example, Amarat or the other central defender or their left back, I think the sort of player they have, they hit the ground running with the Premier League.
Yeah. Apparently that Hakimi cost PSG 70 million. So we won't get Hakimi.
No,
he's decent.
No,
he's probably the best in the world. Yeah.
The prices get all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you honestly expecting, lads, for the next 3 game point wise? What's your points? What do you realistically think we'll get?
For me, I'm going to go. Because it ain't even the next 3 games. For me, I think it's the next 2. I think if he loses, we're going to lose against Arsenal. I don't think that matters. I think everyone's expecting that. The one is... They haven't got
Jesus, though. It's the only thing.
I know, but David Moyes has not once in his whole career won away at Arsenal.
No,
I don't think he's going to win there. So we're not... If we win...
Yeah, we know, Nick.
No, but
we haven't got to win there. We can get a draw, can't we?
Personally, though, I think we're losing against Arsenal. And the one that will either save his job or get him sacked is Brentford. I think that's the one.
Yeah.
I think if he loses that, what's the point in hanging on for Leeds? I don't see the issue. I don't see the point.
I agree with that, and I can see no points.
I find it a bit strange in a way that this 3 game thing is true. Then I don't see the point of doing it even really. I think about a month we could have got someone else in. I mean,
how stupid, Gary, does it make them look if they do actually? If we lose the next 2 games, right, and then they sack him, how stupid will they look then?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Do you think they were hoping that a manager would pop out in the
I think
World
they're
Cup?
looking. I think
Possibly,
they're looking.
yeah.
I think they've been
Like a
looking.
lower level unknown manager, and they'll look at it and
think
go, "Oh, he's done well. The fans will love that."
I personally believe. I don't think they have sat on their hands. We know that Sullivan struggles with getting managers in at the best of times. He does. I do believe they've been trying to get a manager, but obviously they can't just go out and get anyone in. So no, I think it is a case. It is a case that we've got Moyes until they have to sack him. And if he goes, I wouldn't be surprised just to see Warburton take over for a few games or till the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised.
So Luis Enrique is starting on Monday.
Yeah. I'll tell you another thing we've got to start doing a bit better as a club. It's one of the lads on another YouTube channel. Is it, what's his name? It's called The Top Lads. You know the one he's on West Ham Network sometimes, got the beard? I forget his name. You know the one I mean?
Oh, yes, Charlie, isn't it? It's Charlie.
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 Yeah,
and he made a point last year with the Declan Rice thing, and he said we've got to learn when to sell players at the right time. And
absolutely.
He's always said that. He's always said that. Actually,
we could have got Bowen and some Suchek. We could have got Bowen would have got 70 million,
and Diop,
probably 50 million.
And Diop.
Now, what would you get now?
I know.
And that's the thing. The thing with Diop also, he's not injury prone. He's the only centre half we've got that's actually not injury prone.
This is what
he's mistake prone though.
Yeah, this is what Brentford and Southampton and all those other teams who trade players. This is what they're really good at: is getting in a new player. They have a replacement identified already who they can bring in pretty quickly. They shift them at their peak, bring in a load of money, buy the next player for 40 million quid less, and away they go. They just continue.
I don't honestly think, Gal, that Paqueta or Scamacca will be here next season, nor Rice. And I think we might have to go back to, like players that are more. I mean, I mentioned about Gallagher and Broja. Yeah. Broja would hit the ground running. I think that's who Moyes wanted, really. You run the channels. You haven't got egos. Gallagher's the same.
It wasn't surprised me.
I think the only way that we're going to sell Paqueta, I'd like to think, and Scamacca in the summer,
get our money back,
is if by some miracle that we can get our money back at the very least. They can't go taking a hit on two.
No, listen. There's no way you'd be selling Paqueta for cut price. He's a good player the right surroundings, in the right club, with the right players around him, in the right system. He's a great player, right? I just don't think Premier League or us is potentially. I hope to be proven wrong. Please prove me wrong. It's just a feeling I have in watching him.
I think it's difficult because there is something else that you've got to say, Gary. I think we said this the other day, and this is where I feel sorry for the new players that are coming into this setup. Because we've been an underperforming team in the league now for a calendar year. It's been a tough start to the league. They've lost some key characters. It can't be easy to come in and first of all adapt to a new country, a new league, but also when you're coming into a bit of a shit team as well that ain't playing well, that ain't helping anyone. That's not helping anyone. No.
I mean, you think if them players came in the beginning of last season or the season before, ball game, the club's it's a feel good factor around the club.
Exactly.
Maybe the players at the wrong time, or maybe we shouldn't have got them players yet. Maybe the evolution of the club, maybe we're another year, 18 months down the line, if we'd have carried on progressing, then maybe get these sort of players if you're in the Champions League.
Yeah, or January, or even January. Maybe got one of them in January. I will
say one thing. And I know Grant's pro Moyes. I will say one thing to back Grant up to a point is when you do look back the last 2 years previous to that, apart from the Bilic season. We've had lots of very underachieving years. I mean, we've been rubbish. I mean, we've been really bad.
Oh yeah,
He has put us back. We've been at the table with the big boys the last 2 seasons.
Oh yeah, we have.
And now we've sort of fallen off it. But I thought it was going to be difficult to maintain it, to be honest with you, because this is just a club. It's just the DNA of the club. It just seems to be we'll always muck it up somehow.
What do you reckon, Grant?
No, I think that's right. I think we go back to what I was saying earlier. When you go back to the last time we had this level of success, this is what happened. We sold Frank, we sold Rio, we sold Sinclair. The team just falls apart. Harry moans. Harry says there's no money.
It feels like it's repeating itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it kind of, and we never repeated that again. That's how we ended up with Glenn Roeder. And
I said in the last show, Nick, there's two types of West Ham fans. There's two different types. They're very different. Two West Ham fans. You've got one West Ham fans you've got the likes of Grant, who perhaps maybe call them realistic, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or you've got another type of fans that now they've had this 2 seasons, they want a bit more of it. And they don't want to go back to just making the numbers up.
I think there is a third fan, and I do believe this as well. For me, I've never had success as a West Ham fan. I don't really give a shit whether I'd like us to win something, but you know what? I can't tolerate poor football. I can't.
No.
If that makes me entitled because I want to be entertained, and it isn't because I want trophies, it isn't because I think we're going to win the league. I just want to see a team go out there and have a go at the opposition, be on the front foot. That's what I want from my team. If that makes me, I don't know, if that makes me a stupid fan and, you know, entitled, then that's fine. But that is what I like. I can't stand the football that we play.
It's like Gary goes every week. I mean, obviously he goes, he pays his money, he wants to be entertained. But if Moyes is not going to change our style, if he's going to be ultra, not ultra defensive, wrong word, but if you're going to carry on, because I don't think you can change your style that much with Moyes. I don't think you'll be able to do it. Then really, Pekasa and Skamaka are not the right fit for West Ham.
See, listen. I'm halfway in between, right? Of Nick and Grant. I mean, I was slow to make my mind up. It was really the results that turned me into Moyes out, right? And the results on the basis that I don't believe Moyes is capable of turning it around, and that's why I want him gone. It wasn't the fact that I dislike Moyes or anything like that. I just see we're on a massive slope. I don't see us going anywhere. I don't see him changing it around, and I think in a few games' time he's going to be gone, right? And so
Gary,
I just think, why not do it now?
Who do you want, Gal? If you want someone coming, if you had your choice, who would you have?
I'll give it a choice. I'd take Pochettino, but I don't see him coming here either.
Would you?
I'd take Tuchel. I'd definitely take Frank.
What about
he's gone. Sorry, Grant. Lisbon manager Ruben Amorim has just signed a contract extension. It would cost us about it cost us about 25 million to get him out of there.
Yeah, Villa couldn't get Wolves couldn't get him, could they? Villa and Wolves both tried to move him. My question to you on Thomas Frank, and I get you, he's done it for nearly 2 seasons now. That looks good. But you know how Brentford's model works, like you said, how they identify talent and then they bring the players in and they're always looking to the next man to fill the gaps.
Yeah.
Well, with our clowns, we're not going to run the club. We don't run the club like Brentford do it. That would slightly concern me. But I do get also he would be like stepping up to probably better quality players. Though he's got some decent players at Brentford, he'd be stepping up. I would just be. It's almost if he's got a little bit of magic at Brentford because of the way they run the club, that would scare me. But I would say Thomas Frank would be worth. That wouldn't be as much of a risk to me as going for somebody who's done well in Scotland. That would be
and I can understand it. I can understand that cautious mentality, and I probably, I think it's got to the stage now where I would be willing to take a gamble on somebody that does play a different style of football, because otherwise, what concerns me is like what Gary said. We're in this vicious circle. You kind of if we go out and we get a Daesh, then we're going to be back here in 2 years' time again. So I think it's important that we just kind of I don't know.
And this is where, now we're on the verge of looking for a new manager, this is where good football is important to me. I want a new manager to come in, and good football is important. It wasn't important with Moyes. We knew what Moyes was, and the results were important. And now the results have gone south. I've lost patience with him. Yeah, we're looking for a new manager now. Football is important.
I mean, ultimately, let's be honest about it now. We're a fair way into the season, and now it's just got to be about we make sure we stay in this league this season. And then end of the season, you reset. Now, you get the new manager bounce. Now, Deitch, I wouldn't want him long term, no. I certainly wouldn't want Warburton. It's just too much to gamble. That's too much of a gamble for me, that.
It might, but things it might have to be him if they can't get anyone else.
No, but I mean, I think Deitch is there, but obviously it only has to be on a short-term thing. I don't think the fans will put up with more of the same.
Oh, but you know what our fans are like, though, Gary. I'm not being funny. He'd come in, he'd save us, and then we'd have to be eternally grateful to him and give him a 5-year contract. He saved us. You can't get rid of him. Yes, you fucking can. Leicester got rid of Ranieri after he won the league for him.
Yeah.
I mean, the only interesting thing in a bear course, we talk about Arsenal and we're writing the game off almost. But, it's, I'm not saying I don't think we could win the game. I think we could get a point. We could if we went our way. because you've had this month off. You don't know how it's going to affect things when they restart again.
No.
Yeah, no.
You don't
Right.
know.
No.
You might get a few surprise results first few weeks.
Paqueta has more clauses than a Santa convention. Yes, because apparently it is the deal. I know it's a different, but apparently his deal is more like 35 million, and the rest of it's made up of really kind of bizarre clauses. Yeah. You know, like if we win the Champions League 4 times in a row or something like that, they'll get 5 million. So I think the actual price we paid for him is around the 35 million pound mark. Although the club are quite keen for us to believe that we've gone out and we've spent 50 to 60 million.
Yeah. Oh well, we could just wait and see what happens now. I mean, as much as I'm sort of like trying to see both sides of the argument, which I have tonight, I've listened to both sides. I do feel long term that Moyes isn't going to be here. I think you know what? I think any manager, you get a certain amount of years. Same with a football team. You can get 3, 4, 5
They've got a
seasons
lifespan now.
And a better lifespan. Even the best team, even Liverpool this season, you've seen what they've done. They haven't addressed their midfield. They haven't got the legs anymore in midfield. And suddenly they've dropped off.
What's the average, Grant? What's the average, Gary? I think it's 3 years, isn't it? Isn't it 3 years for a Premier League
3 years, about 3 years is kind of.
Unless you've got Man City's money, of course, then you can just go out and buy the. That's the exception. But generally speaking, even Liverpool, Arsenal, they're not going to be in the same wage structure as Newcastle, Man City are. And I think you do get a certain amount. I think our team probably at 2 years has probably run its course.
Yeah.
And I think Moyes said last season he thought it's got to be broken up, the team. So maybe he knew this was coming.
He's one manager I do not want us to be linked with, and I really fucking don't want us to be linked with him.
I think he's too Bob.
He's too Bob. He's been shit for Belgium, one of the most star-studded teams. He's won nothing with them. They're crap, Belgium. I do not want to... Martinez. I do not want him.
He struggled at Everton, didn't he?
I don't want him at all. And he's available now.
What about this Moroccan manager? I mean, he's only been in the job for about 3 months. He's done an incredible job.
Well, what about our ex-player, the Argentinian?
Lionel
Scaloni. Yeah. What about him? He's any like 40-odd...
Well, he owes us. He owes us. If he wins a World Cup and retires as the World Cup winner...
Yeah.
Imagine that, retiring as the World Cup interview, post-match interview after winning the World Cup.
Winner. Yeah.
Post-match interview after winning the World Cup for Argentina, Lionel Scaloni says, "I'm very proud of the players, but I've got some unfinished business with West Ham. I'll see you over there."
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, I think you're right, you said earlier, Nick, if we lose to Arsenal and lose quite heavily, maybe 3-4-1 or whatever, and then we lose at home to Brentford, I think that's going to turn pretty toxic over there. Even before the league game, I think it'll be like that'll be it.
It will happen. I think the fans will be behind him because they always are. It all depends how we come out and how we start. If we're regressed and careful, and I can see him doing that against Brentford because Brentford are fucking dangerous on the counter attack. So I don't think he's going to go gung ho against Brentford. I just don't think he's going to. So if we're on the back, no. But if
is there striker banned?
No, he's not. He's not.
To be honest, we was all hoping for it. When you said about our running stats, how bad they are. You're going up to Leeds. I mean, that's the last team you want to face.
They're no mugs. They're no mugs. Well, look, the thing is, they've scored enough goals to fucking be. I actually watch a Leeds. It's almost like a guilty pleasure. It's not because I sort of follow Leeds so much. It's just because I stumbled on this podcast, and it's a really fucking good podcast. I like the characters, and the amount of games that they've lost where they just can't hold on to a lead. They go in front all the time, so they can't defend. But they're outplaying most teams that they play. They're playing good football.
They're getting beat like 3-2 and 4-3, aren't they? They're just loads of goals.
It's funny, really, because even though you've got another manager in there, it hasn't changed that much from Bielsa, is it? It's very. I mean, if you didn't know, if someone hasn't told you Bielsa's gone, you wouldn't know the difference. You would think Bielsa's still there.
The difference is the Leeds fans are not as attached to this guy as what they was Bielsa. They love Bielsa. They don't really like this guy as much.
That's it. Bring Bielsa. Bring Bielsa in.
Bielsa's available. He's available 6 months. 6 months.
I mean, I like Leeds. I mean, when I watched Bielsa when he first come over. When I was in the Championship, I'd follow them every week. I got really because the football was so good, and when they come up the other season, they were brilliant. But again, eventually it fell away. He's not naivety, but he's
I just don't think. I just think with when you play that sort of the way that Bielsa plays, you need a big squad. You need a big squad because he fucking works these players. You know, he's intense. Apparently, he's incredibly intense. Could you imagine poor Zuma's knees? Poor Zuma's knees having to play in a Bielsa system because it's pressing all over the pitch.
I'll tell you one other thing. A quick question for Gary, particularly. I know Gary goes a lot. In terms of style of play and about entertaining football, how much are you prepared to gamble? I mean, if there's a risk of us getting relegated, would you rather be a bit more pragmatic, or would you be prepared to go down?
No, I wouldn't be prepared to go down. No, that is is something I absolutely don't want. No, I want to bring someone in that's proven really. So what Nick was saying, I love the sound, for instance. Yeah, sorry. So go on, tell me what you're going to say, Gary.
No, sorry, mate. Go on, carry on. Go on, carry on.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, you pair of Garys, for fuck's sake, sort it out.
No, go on.
You
go.
What I was going to say, at the moment, how the Premier League finished for the World Cup, if I was to say to you, going by the season up until now, can you think of 3 worse teams than us at the moment?
No,
I can't.
Not the way we're playing football. No, even the likes of Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest, right? Yeah. They've been batshit crazy this year, but they've had all them players coming in. I think that they are going to, because I think that they're probably going to stand more chance of knitting together than what we are. I can see them picking up enough points. I think they're going to be all right. So even the worst team, who I think is Nottingham Forest, Wolves ain't going to stay down there because they've gone and got Lopetegui. So he's going to go out. They're giving him a big pot. So Wolves are gone. They ain't going to stay down there.
It'd have to be a safe bet.
All put new managers.
Yeah, I know.
VS
so
Boas.
New manager bounce, as they call it. So at the moment, obviously, we might see a different West Ham now. We might do. You don't know. We might do.
Yeah.
I've got my doubts, but we might do. But if we don't, if it carries on as it is, not being funny, we could be in the bottom 3 if we lose to Arsenal. Because you look at the points at the moment, we're only 1 point above the relegation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we could be in the bottom 3 after that Arsenal game.
I know. Yeah, we could be. That's another one. Last one, Gary. And then what we're going to do, we're going to see if anyone else wants to call in, and then we'll close it and try and get a sensible night tonight. So somebody else has mentioned Villaboa. Now, for me, I probably would take him.
I'd take him.
He's a good manager. He's got better since.
Remind me who he is.
VS Boas.
Villas Boas. He's the one that used to manage Spurs.
Yeah.
Very good manager.
Similar to Poch in the way that he plays. So it's a high press game, but he's got experience, Grant.
Where's he at now?
I would take him. I don't know whether he's out of work at the moment or he's
been successful since going there, hasn't he?
No, he's got better. He's got better.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, I'll have a look.
Well,
he tried. I think he was very young.
Oh yeah.
He was the manager of Marseille. He was the manager of Marseille.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's
at Chelsea as well.
He was at Chelsea and then
he was at Chelsea as well. Yeah.
Porto, Chelsea, Tottenham.
He's available. He's available at the moment.
What sort of style of football does he play? Is it more of a?
It's a pressing game, so it's a high press. It's high intensity. Very similar to Pochettino.
To be honest, most managers now.
Oh mate, he's gone to Thailand for next season. We're out of luck.
Oh no, he's gone to Buriram United.
United, I know.
Buriram United.
He's gone to Thailand for next season, is he?
A professional football club based in Buriram, Thailand.
Fucking waste.
Top level. Thai League One, though, Nick.
Well, he's gone to manage their national team or some random
random team.
Oh yeah, he was at Zenit, weren't he? Oh, he's been in Shanghai.
He's signed Marseille for a couple of years.
Well, go on, mate. Go on, Gal.
I was going to ask you, who's that caller the other week? Who's the longest caller on record in your show? How was he on for?
Jonathan. Yeah, he was on for about 55 minutes. I'll tell you, you've come close before, mate. You've been about 50 minutes.
No, well, let's carry on then, another 10.
Go on.
I'll let you go, lads, anyway.
Yeah, Gary, that's brilliant, mate. Thanks for calling. Make sure you call us back. You've been getting loads of love in the chat as well. What we'll do, Gary, before you go, I'll probably talk to you about getting you on the show if you're interested, because there's been a few people that have mentioned it. So we probably would get you on for one of these shows, whether it be a Friday night or a Saturday night, Sunday night.
Yes.
Maybe we'll wait. Maybe we'll wait until the football's. No, we could do one before the football restarts, can't we?
Yeah.
We'll do it. Maybe next week if you're available next week. I'll send you a message, mate. I'll send you a text.
All right, mate. Take care, lads. Take care.
Cheers, Gary.
Cheers, mate.
See you later.
Bye, mate. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Right. I'll leave the line open for about 5 minutes. If anyone does want to call,
Yeah.
we'll take another call.
So what we got in the anything to discuss in the comments?
There's loads.
I think.
Broja apparently got injured. I saw somebody mention that. I didn't know what they meant, but there's Broja got injured today or yesterday. Basically, apparently screaming. So probably won't be signing him in January.
No.
Yeah, Chris Harris says here about Sean Dyche. I don't particularly want Sean Dyche long term, but I do feel that he's been unfairly pigeonholed due to his working restrictions at Burnley. That's a good way of putting it.
It's a really interesting one, isn't it? It's a really interesting one. This goes back to, would you take a gamble on a player? He has been typecast. He's been typecast as the Burnley manager, right? Yeah. Sawdust and nails.
Except Company's gone in this season, and I know they dropped a league. Don't get me wrong. I know it's
changing style completely.
Lower, and he is playing magic football.
I'll tell you what. Yeah. I would take Company. Because do you know what I think that we need this time?
Well, that's a good call.
Because you know what I think we need this time, as well as I don't think we can take a risk. I think with the superstars that we've gone and got ourselves now, I think we're going to need to get someone that comes in and they're inspirational, somebody that can relate to them. Vincent Kompany is a big character. Everyone in world football knows who Vincent Kompany is. Yeah. He carries himself really well. He's really confident. He's really charismatic. He's quite a cheeky chap. His football style is fucking brilliant as well. He's almost got, he's got, like Arteta. He's got almost like so he's got all of that. What Arteta's picked up off of Pep Guardiola, but he's got that kind of defensive mindset as well. He's changed a few things. We've changed a lot at Burnley. I really like him, and I think he would be a good shout for me. I think he would come in. He would command respect. You're not going to not listen to Vincent Kompany, are you? Let's face it. He's a bit of a solid character. So I think that would probably be a good shout. What do you think, Grant, on that one, on Kompany? I know you don't like taking risks, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, it's a risk. It's a risk. He's done it at the highest level. You're right. He'd have the respect of the dressing room. I don't know. They look like they're going to win the league, so we'll see. He'll be up in the Prem next year. Maybe we'll see him. And maybe it's like all of these things. If someone moves for Big Ange, if someone moves for Thomas Frank, if someone moves for Kompany, and they turn out to be amazing, then we'll look back and you can say to me, "I told you so," and I'll be like, "Yeah, you're right." But then for all of for all the ones that do well, there's probably 10.
You are right because and you are right because I do believe this. It's like when Arteta went from Man City to Arsenal. West Ham, for instance, we only ever get one opportunity to get these managers, and you've almost got to take a gamble on it. And it is a gamble because for every Arteta, there's a Gerrard.
And
like
I said, Arteta nearly got sacked. Arsenal fans would have come and carried him to the airport themselves.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think this is how a lot of the time we end up with these injury-prone players. Maguire had a history of injuries. What's his name? We get Payet. Why did we get Payet? Because he was a lunatic and nobody wanted him. And then he came and he was by far the best player in Europe that season and was just unbelievable. And then and then he goes get Arnautovic, another one, lunatic, unbelievable, comes in, saves our season, then turns out, he's a lunatic, so he does lunatic stuff and clears off. Anderson, injury prone in Italy, didn't like the physical stuff in Italy. What do? Go and spank a load of money on him. He comes to the Premier League. First thing that happens to him is somebody kicks him. He goes, "Oh, no, I didn't like that." So,
Disabled team's got a good point. See what happens if you wait. All the best managers are taken. It's like a nightclub.
It is. And I agree. Again, my point on all of this Moyes stuff is I'm not blindly Moyes in.
No.
Well, we've got to get the right man, and I just wouldn't punt for the sake of it. That's absolutely right because you suddenly the carousel's gone round and you've discovered that everyone's got on, but you haven't, and then
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, exactly right. Exactly right.
I've thoroughly enjoyed our little Barney tonight, though, Grant. That's good. I listen to it every now and then.
Been good. You got Nick's juices flowing there, Grant. You've got his juices flowing.
Steam. It's good. Di Canio.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Di Canio.
I would.
Oh my God, he would implode. He would.
I don't know. Bringing in questionable racist.
But ain't he already come out? Ain't he already come out and said that Scamacca was going to be a flop before we even signed him? I think he said that. Di Canio said he's not
liked in Italy, is he? He's not. You know, he's not well thought of in Italy. And I'm not anti. Honestly, I had high hopes for Scamacca, and I thought he started well, but. Against Cambridge, against Udinese, honestly,
I think he's just a lot of that. Like I said to you, once a player starts to go, it's like look how bad Haller looked at the end. Once they lose interest, Grant, then you're not going to get the best out of them, are you?
No, we shouldn't argue on that because all I'll ever say to you on him is show me where he's ever done it that he was any good.
In Champions
League.
Champions League. I'll tell you what. Records in the Champions League. Haller.
It's a lot of people that score in the Champions League, but. Cool.
If there was 12 to 15 games to go, if there was 12 to 15 games to go and we're all but buried in the bottom three, I would see no harm in giving the rest of that season to Di Canio. Because we're going down anyway. Just imagine, it'd be on fire over there with Di Canio, wouldn't it?
Di Canio would be.
Get Rodikin with him. Get Rodikin as number 2.
And it would trigger him off because he reacts to the fans. So which player would he kick up the arse first as he pulled him off?
Maxwell Cornet. He'd just go and hunt him down.
Jeremy Wood, he'd toe punt him up the arse as he pulled him off.
Scamacca would be getting slapped all over the place. Wake up, you fucking big bastard.
You're shit. Apparently that's what cracked me up when he went to Celtic. He had a mini tantrum when he went in there because it was like his first game and they was like 1-0 down and he literally had a massive raging tantrum at half time. He said, "I can't believe I've come here. You had all this shit. What is this? What these guys going fucking mad at them?" But I did come out and they won the second half. So. Not very inspirational, more scary, I'd say. I think he's probably
what club was he at when he chased the player up the touchline to boot him?
That was Swindon. Was it Swindon?
I don't know. It's just to kick him.
It kicked him. That's what I mean. Yeah. So he hooked him off and kicked him up the arse.
Off his tits. Yeah.
I know. But anyway, look, I think everyone's going now because it is a Sunday night. So, Gary,
it is a Sunday night.
Do you want to wrap up? Grant, thanks very much for coming on, mate. It's been really good, actually. It's good
thank you for having me on again, guys.
Mate, it is good to get balance. It is. You need it.
Well, it's good to watch an argument as well. You can't
have a debate if you all agree.
Well, it's like reality TV. Why does anyone watch reality TV? They watch it for the fucking arguments, right? Always do. Love an argument. Love an argument. Nick loves an argument. Anyway, thank you all for joining. It's been lovely. For all your lovely comments, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. To Claret and Booze on YouTube. Until next time, we'll be back, I think, this week for a couple of daily rambles. We'll do one each.
Yeah, we will do, yeah.
To talk about what's going on in the wonderful world of West Ham. So until next time, see you soon, and come on, you irons.
I haven't found a video yet, Gal. Carry on talking.
For God's sake, don't come on, you. Yeah.
Come on, you irons.
Yeah. Come on, you irons. Come on, you irons.
Moyes in forever.
Moyes out.